I know what it's like when you're getting started and trying to learn virtual production. So that's why today I'm sharing 7 things that I wish I knew when getting started in virtual production. Number 1 on the list is latency, otherwise known as lag in certain applications. When you're getting started and you're setting things up like camera tracking and multi-user environments, there is always going to be a little bit of lag, especially on the tracking side. But it is something to be aware of and understand that it is normal to have lag in certain things like tracking when you're doing in-camera visual effects. Number 2, GPUs. Now, when this video was recorded, one of the top single graphics cards that you could buy on the market is the NVIDIA RTX 4090. And you might think, oh, I should just use a 4090 in my render node to render my Unreal Engine scene to my LED wall.
Wrong.
The reason for this is because cards like the 4090 do not have the ability to be synchronized using something called a Quadro Sync card. This is an accessory made by NVIDIA that plugs into your PCI Express slot on your render node, and it allows you to deliver Genlock data. And a Quadro Sync card is only compatible with Quadro series graphics cards like the A6000, which is one of the most universally used graphics cards in virtual production because it has a whopping 48 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, I am not saying you cannot use something like a 4090. You totally could put a 4090 into your render node, but you just have to understand you would be sacrificing the ability to synchronize it and receive something like Genlock data. And that takes us perfectly to the next item on the list, which is Genlock. Genlock is defined as a technique that is used to synchronize digital triggers, and it ensures frames and subframes stay in sync. Essentially, this is just a way to make sure that your graphics card, your LED wall, your camera on set, all of that is synchronized using the same frame rate and that nothing gets out of sync so that there's no drift, there's no screen tearing, no drop frames, anything like that. And something to be aware of is that not every cinema camera out there supports Genlock. So if you're going into an ICVFX shoot, using an LED wall, double check that the camera you're using supports Genlock if that's a feature you want to take advantage of. Number 4 on the list is that your Unreal Engine editor frame rate is not the same as your render node frame rate. Basically, when you've got a multi-user environment, you typically have at least 2 computers. You have an engine node computer and you have a render node computer. The engine node is to run Unreal Engine, to have your project open, make changes, and all of that's showing up in real time on the wall, right? But the engine node is not the one actually rendering the scene to the wall. That's what the render node is doing. It's a totally dedicated PC that's sole job is to literally render the scene and display it on the wall. So when you're working at the engine node computer, everything might be running smoothly. It might look great in the editor that you're working in, but that does not mean that everything is running smoothly on the wall. So a way that you can monitor this is actually to use a free plugin inside of Unreal Engine. It's called the Stage Monitor. If you open up the Stage Monitor and you enable it, you should see your editor node and your render node, and it will display the frame rates that both of them are running at. And so this is something you want to have running pretty much throughout your shoot. That way you're never dipping below your target frame rate. Number 5, did you know that there are free Unreal Engine Marketplace assets every single month? I wish I could say that I knew this from day one. That would be a lie. Every first Tuesday of the month, Epic Games will release a new batch of free content on the Unreal Engine Marketplace. These are assets that are already on the marketplace typically, and they've now been marked down to be free. So make sure to download the free content every single month. Number 6, you can actually customize the thumbnail and the splash screen when you launch Unreal Engine. This can be really useful if you want to incorporate some of your own branding into environments that you're creating in-house for your studio or your company. To do this, all you have to do is go under Project Settings, and the very first thing you'll see is the thumbnail. You can click those 3 dots, and you can replace it with an image that you've created. And then if you actually go up to the search bar and type in Splash, you'll see the Unreal Engine splash screen that you can actually replace with your very own image. And the last one on this list, number 7, and that is the primary display on your render node is where your Unreal Engine scene will be projected. Here's what I mean by that. Typically, render nodes are not at the brain bar. They are elsewhere, either behind the wall or in a server room, and they're rack mounted. And sometimes they don't even have any other kind of display hooked up to them other than the LED wall. Because at the end of the day, the LED wall really is just a glorified Windows monitor. But if you do have other displays connected to your render node, you want to make sure that inside Windows, the LED wall is set as the primary display. And if it's not configured properly, it might be displaying your scene on one of those smaller monitors. And that's it, guys. Those are 7 things that I wish I knew when I was getting started. And hey, if you're a veteran, if you're someone who's already been working in virtual production and you have some things that you wish you knew when you were getting started, please post those in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I hope you got some good, useful information out of it. And if you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about the ins and outs of virtual production.